Hey, yo, what's up? I'm Adrian Naz from Rexon, Ontario. Currently live in Mississauga, Ontario. I sing for Born With That Hope. So growing up as a kid, mostly my parents listened to like country music, and I remember like a lot of disco stuff like that. And then at a certain age, I remember my brother getting into like grunge and like early '90s, like Nirvana and like Pearl Jam stuff like that. And then like pretty much gradually getting into more heavier music from like grunge, and like I think that grunge was like a starting point from the heavy music and how it got to where like
Stepping stone.
stepping stone, exactly, like more like punk rock, and then punk rock led into like metal led into like hardcore. And once I got into hardcore, it was just like I felt like that was the place I belonged, and never want to ever look back. Like, like 39 years old, I'm still like every day want to like go to shows and still want to fucking chill with my friends and do what we got to do. You know what I'm saying? So like love of hardcore. That's what's up. So by the time I was 17, 18 years old, I was into bands like Machine Head, Skin Lab, some local bands, Hexus, like so pretty much in that scene. At that time, they used to do a lot of like crossover shows. So what got me into hardcore music was I went to a show and I ended up seeing like Snapcase, and they were a Buffalo hardcore band. I just remember watching them at the Reverb, and I was like just blown away, and I was like, wow, this scene, this is where like I kind of belong, and something about that, it just resonated with me, and like that's what really got me into hardcore. So first show ever was '97 and Intimate Interactive at Much Music, and it was Silverchair, and and yeah, I was in my grunge scene back then, and that's what like led me into like hardcore. And actually, first hardcore show was Day of Mourning, Candiria, Vision Disorder at the Reverb. And that was a fucking killer show, bro. Like kids were going off, like you know what I mean. It was just from the first band, Day of Mourning, which was a local band. They just always killed it. They were like one of the hometown like killers back then. Shout out to them. Straight up, probably one of the best hardcore shows. And then we're gonna come up to like next shows that I saw in the next question. So that's what's up. So favorite shows I saw, No Warning, Poison Well, Hatebreed. It was at the Reverb, 2001. Kids were just going off. I just remember like even for No Warning, like seeing a local band and having such a reaction was like just, you know what I mean, to me it was like wow, like it was like very like inspirational watching that as a local kid, and like having, seen a local band doing so good. The Ill Blood record just came out, like, and that record is probably to me one of like Toronto's like staple records. So like that was such a crazy show. I remember like that being definitely one of my favorite shows seen at that era. Um, as far for like metal shows, I remember seeing in Hamilton, Ontario, um, Static X, Scrape, Morbid Angel, Slayer, and Pantera. That was definitely, I remember seeing that show, and like I was like blown away. I remember when Slayer opened, like with Raining Blood, lights went off, and like remember seeing the biggest like circle pit I've ever seen in my life. The whole like Cops Coliseum, like ground floor was like a circle pit, man. It was like insane. So, and then I remember like Pantera coming out, and like Slayer actually opened for Pantera, and Pantera coming out and saying they were the kings of metal. So I remember Phil Anselmo just always like being a really good frontman and also saying whatever's on his mind. So that was definitely like some of the shows that resonate. I'm trying to think like so to add on to the favorite shows. I'm gonna give a shout out to Stronger Than Ever videos. Steve Reniewick here. We played in Buffalo. It was Disrepair, Born Without Hope, Absolute Suffering, and Jesus Peace. And I remember like that was a show that I played, and it just resonates hard with me. And I want to give a shout out because we're here in Steve's place, and you know what I mean. Always loved this guy, great dude. Um, and another show I want to add on to is I remember seeing Darkest Hour, God Forbid, Lamb of God, Candiria, and 6 Feet Under at the Opera House, and talking about like crossover shows. To me, that was like a crazy show. I remember seeing back in the day, and such a crazy diverse lineup, but like also like everyone just enjoying the show and having a good time, seeing all like facets of different kind of people there, and it was a great time. So craziest things I've seen at shows. Honestly, there's been a lot of crazy things that happen at shows, and I remember seeing like kids like bands going and playing on like the sickest breakdowns, and like kids going flying over like merch tables and stuff like that. So like to me, like that's probably like the craziest things like I ever seen like shows, man. So bands that I've been in, I was in a band called Stitch Fist around '98, 2001 era. I used to play bass, do backup vocals. Um, then I played in a band called Vernon Howell. I did vocals for them, and currently I do vocals for Born Without Hope. All right, so what I like about being a musician is honestly for me, it's like it's therapeutic. It's getting something out there, having a message, being doing something that like means something to you, and to me that's the most like important thing, and that's why I feel like that's like I like about being a musician. And quite frankly, about disliking at this point in my life, I don't really try to get with that vibe of disliking. I'm trying to stay like PMA and try to do the best I can for my scene and do the best I can for my band and have the best impact that I can with the music. That's what matters. So favorite food, jerk chicken, rice and peas, oxtail gravy, with some coleslaw on the side, and my mom's spaghetti. Top 10 hardcore records in no particular order. Hate, Breed, Satisfaction, Death and Desire, Buried Alive. I forget the fucking name of that record. Death of Your Perfect World, and let's go with No Warning, Ill Blood, Vision of Disorder, Imprint, Candir, Process of Self-Development, Sworn Enemy, As Real as It Gets, Madball, Set It Off, All I War for Those Who's Crucified, God Forbid, Determination, and Mushmouth, Out to Win. Yo, straight up, want to give a shout out to Steve. Thanks for having us here. BWH, Toronto Hardcore, Hamilton Hardcore, Ontario Hardcore, all with support. This was all about. This is our scene. We taking over.